In the mid-20th century, few objects carried as much emotional weight in an American household as a bicycle. On Christmas morning in 1955, thousands of children across the United States walked into their living rooms to find a carefully wrapped gift waiting for them. Inside, for many, was a Schwinn. One of the most iconic models of that era was the Black Phantom, a bicycle defined by its solid steel frame, polished chrome details, and a visible badge that read Schwinn Quality. That badge was more than branding. It represented a promise. Schwinn bicycles were not marketed as disposable consumer goods. They were built and sold as long-term investments. Parents expected them to last for years, often long enough to be passed down between siblings. The durability of the product became part of its identity. At a time when American manufacturing was at its peak, companies like Schwinn Bicycle Company stood as symbols of industrial excellence. Their products reflected a broader national confidence in craftsmanship, engineering, and reliability. The bicycle itself also carried a deeper meaning. For children, it represented independence. It was often the first time they could move freely beyond the boundaries of their immediate home. Streets, neighborhoods, and parks became accessible in a new way. This combination of emotional value and product durability helped establish Schwinn as the dominant force in the American bicycle industry. However, the very qualities that defined Schwinn's success, durability, control, and consistency, would later contribute to its decline. The King of Chicago. By the 1960s, Schwinn had become one of the most powerful names in the American bicycle market. Headquartered in Chicago, the company operated large-scale manufacturing facilities and maintained a strong distribution network across the United States. At its peak, Schwinn controlled approximately 25% of the domestic bicycle market. This level of dominance was not achieved through innovation alone, but through a tightly controlled business model. A key part of this strategy was the use of authorized dealers. Schwinn did not allow its bicycles to be sold in just any store. Instead, it carefully selected retailers who met specific standards related to service, presentation, and pricing. This approach allowed Schwinn to maintain strict control over its brand image. Customers associated the name with quality and consistency, regardless of where they purchased the product. Two models in particular came to define this era: the Schwinn Varsity and the Schwinn Stingray. The Varsity was a practical, durable road bike that appealed to older riders and commuters. It was known for its strength, but also for its weight, which was significantly higher than competing European models. The Stingray, on the other hand, targeted younger riders. With its distinctive banana seat, high-rise handlebars, and compact frame, it became a cultural phenomenon during the 1960s. These products, combined with Schwinn's distribution strategy, reinforced the company's position as the industry leader. However, this level of control also created rigidity. The company became less responsive to external changes, particularly those emerging outside its established network. The Stingray Revolution. The development of the Stingray is one of the most significant examples of Schwinn successfully responding to a market trend. In the early 1960s, Schwinn designer Al Fritz observed a growing trend among children in California. Many were modifying their bicycles to resemble motorcycles, adding extended seats and customized handlebars. Recognizing the potential of this trend, Schwinn quickly developed a mass-produced version. The result was the Stingray. The product was an immediate success. It appealed to a younger demographic and introduced a new style of riding focused on play and expression rather than transportation. Children used the bike to perform tricks, race informally, and personalize their riding experience. One of the most common activities was attempting wheelies, which became a defining feature of the bike's popularity. From a business perspective, the Stingray demonstrated Schwinn's ability to identify and capitalize on emerging consumer behavior. However, the scale of its success also contributed to a shift in the company's internal mindset. The strong market response reinforced the belief that Schwinn understood its customers better than competitors. This confidence would later influence how the company responded to future trends, particularly those it did not initially recognize.
The excellence trap. As the global bicycle market evolved, a significant technological shift began to take place. European manufacturers were increasingly adopting lightweight materials and advanced frame construction techniques. These bikes were faster, easier to handle, and more appealing to performance-oriented riders. Schwinn, however, remained committed to its traditional manufacturing approach. The company's bicycles were built with thick steel frames designed for durability. While this ensured long product life, it also resulted in heavier bikes that were less competitive in emerging performance segments. This approach was reinforced by Schwinn's reputation for quality. The company believed that durability was the primary factor driving customer loyalty. However, this created an unintended consequence. Because Schwinn bicycles lasted so long, customers had little need to purchase replacements. This reduced repeat sales and limited revenue growth in a market that was becoming increasingly competitive. At the same time, competitors were producing lighter, more affordable bicycles that appealed to a broader audience. Schwinn's commitment to excellence, while admirable, began to function as a constraint rather than an advantage. The missed revolution. In the 1970s, a new form of cycling began to emerge in Northern California. Riders such as Gary Fisher and Joe Breeze started modifying older bicycles to handle rough terrain. These modified bikes, often referred to as clunkers, were used for downhill riding on unpaved trails. Interestingly, many of these early mountain bikes were built using older Schwinn frames, particularly the Excelsior model, which was strong enough to withstand off-road conditions. Despite this connection, Schwinn did not recognize the potential of the emerging trend. From the company's perspective, mountain biking appeared to be a niche activity with limited commercial value. As a result, it did not invest in developing products for this segment. This decision allowed other companies to enter and eventually dominate the mountain bike market, which would grow significantly in the following decades. The failure to engage with this trend represents one of the most critical missed opportunities in Schwinn's history. Industrial pressure and labor conflict. By the late 1970s and early 1980s, Schwinn was facing increasing pressure from multiple directions. Global competition had intensified, with manufacturers in Japan and Europe offering more advanced products at competitive prices. At the same time, production costs in the United States were rising. In 1980, tensions between Schwinn management and its workforce led to a major strike at the Chicago factory. This event marked a turning point in the company's operational history. The strike disrupted production and highlighted deeper structural challenges within the organization. Labor costs, manufacturing inefficiencies, and outdated facilities all contributed to declining competitiveness. For many workers, the strike represented the breakdown of a long-standing relationship between the company and its employees. For Schwinn, it signaled the need for significant change. Outsourcing and the giant transition. In response to rising costs, Schwinn began outsourcing production to overseas manufacturers. One of its key partners was Giant Manufacturing. Initially, this partnership allowed Schwinn to reduce costs and remain competitive in the short term. However, it also involved sharing manufacturing knowledge in quality standards. Over time, Giant developed the capability to produce high-quality bicycles independently. As Schwinn's financial condition weakened, its reliance on external manufacturing increased. Eventually, the company lost control over key aspects of production and distribution. After Schwinn's bankruptcy, Giant emerged as one of the largest bicycle manufacturers in the world. This outcome illustrates a broader pattern in global manufacturing, where companies that outsource production may inadvertently create future competitors. Bankruptcy and legacy. In 1992, Schwinn filed for bankruptcy. The company that had once defined the American bicycle industry was no longer able to compete in a globalized market. Although the Schwinn brand continues to exist today, it operates under different ownership and no longer reflects the original company's manufacturing philosophy. The story of Schwinn provides a clear example of how success can create vulnerabilities. The company's commitment to quality, control, and tradition contributed to its early dominance. However, those same factors limited its ability to adapt to changing market conditions. In the end, Schwinn did not fail because it ignored quality. It failed because it could not redefine what quality meant in a changing world.